So my whole life, I wanted to work in the music business, but didn't really know what I wanted to do once I graduated college. At the time, I was living in Orlando, going to school. I went to Full Sail University, and they do entertainment business. I did music business. They have a recording arts school, pretty much anything in entertainment. They've got it. And so I graduated and felt really burnt out because I had been living in a city that I just didn't feel connected to. I hated Orlando. There was nothing there for me. And I was like, I'm either going to go home to Fort Collins or I'm going to go pursue this random opportunity with some coffee company in Seattle. And I've never been to Seattle before, even to this day. Oh. But I became obsessed because I had like a connection to it. And then I really pursued that opportunity really hard, but thought, you know what, in the meantime, while I'm waiting for this to get all tied up before I leave, I'm just going to go home and intern for my hometown radio station in the meantime. And so that at the time was Clear Channel. Probably a year before it was iHeart. Fort Collins is a small hometown. It's a small market. And, you know, I grew up listening to KSME 96.1 KISS FM.
Okay, yeah.
So that was the station that, you know, I would grow up listening to, the Chris Kelly Show, and then John Jay and Rich, and just loved it. And I interviewed for my internship, and right away I was like, I just love this place. There's just something magical about it. So in my free time, I took it upon myself to come in and learn how to run the board and basically just produce a live morning show on the News Talk station there. And News Talk was not my first choice, but I thought, wow, this is a morning show and it's my foot in the door with Clear Channel. This is amazing. Within 2 months' time, I ended up getting my part-time job. It just kind of like accelerated from there. I think I got in at just a really good time with Clear Channel and iHeart, and I had a really good situation where people recognized my work ethic, and there just happened to be opportunities for me. And I kind of created some opportunities for myself just because they recognized like there's not a lot of new talent coming into the market. Mm-hmm. And here's this young girl who's hungry and wants to learn and is willing to do all the bitch work. Let's take advantage. So I was more than happy to do anything and everything. I wanted every opportunity that I could have.
And what was making you like fall in love with it as you were like even going through promotions and stuff?
I think it was just exciting to be a part of something big. And, you know, particularly with iHeart, it's like, it's iHeart Radio. It's exciting.
It's a really cool brand. You know, I feel like they've done well with that, and they make it, you know, it's cool to be a part of it.
It is. And so, you know, being new in radio, it was just, it's to me, it felt magical, even though it was so different from radio, how radio has been, even 10 years ago. This is where like my radio story like really kind of gets exciting for me to look back on. I had always lived in Fort Collins. I was born and raised there, small town. I've always been like a city girl at heart, and I wanted to go somewhere bigger. And that was part of the appeal with of iHeart is they have so many radio stations in just about every market imaginable. I grew up going out to Minneapolis for family and vacations and stuff like that. And so I started listening to KDWB on the iHeartRadio app. I didn't grow up listening to KDWB. I didn't even know it was like a big station that a lot of people got their start on. Like I just thought it was a cool station in Minneapolis. Got hooked on the Dave Ryan show. Started listening to everyone else that was on that station. Would listen obsessively. And when I mean obsessively, it was like while I was producing a morning show live, while I was working afterwards, while I was driving into work, while I was driving home from work, when I got home from work, I was listening.
What was drawing you in so much to it?
I mean, first of all, it just sounded magical.
Okay.
There's just something about, I don't know, it just like felt so good and comforting listening. And I loved the personalities. And I thought, wow, this is like, how cool would it be to work for this station? Then like all my coworkers learned like I was obsessed with KDWB. It was just kind of what I was known for. They're like, oh, Mollie loves KDWB. Okay. Weird, but okay. But I got so much inspiration from it. I learned so much. And honestly, it was like once I started listening to that station and, you know, listening to the different jocks on there and Dave Ryan, like my on-air presence just, it was like I blossomed. I gained this confidence because I was like, they make this sound so easy. And I also didn't feel like I was imitating people that I worked with.
Okay.
You know, so it felt different. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to learn from these other people and take what I learn and apply it here because I don't want to copy anyone here. It was like, I don't want to say overnight, but it definitely made coworkers pay attention when all of a sudden I sounded less robotic and like an actual on-air talent. You know, they were like, oh my God, like we can actually use you for stuff now. You know, that just kind of like opened the door to even more opportunities and on air and production and all that stuff. But that obsession with Minneapolis also led me to like actually go out there on my own dime on several occasions and meet the people that I was listening to and try to learn from them, network with them.
Were you kind of like, hey, I work in radio out here. Can I come see the station to meet you, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Cool. So the first person that I reached out to was Steve-O from the Dave Ryan Show. I was just too professional about it. So I found Steve-O on LinkedIn, found him, and he read my message. And, you know, I had told him like, hey, I'm going to be in the Twin Cities. I'd love to like meet with you and pick your brain about producing a morning show. And so, you know, we had lunch and met, and it was cool. And I got to sit in and shadow the Dave Ryan Show. So that was when I met Dave, and I was so starstruck, and met Fallon. It was just so cool to like sit in the corner. Of course, no one knew I was there. I never went on the air, but just to like see how someone did it in a big market, it was really cool. But they were also so down to earth. And I was like, wow, like this could really be me. And I remember going there for the first time and being in the iHeart building in Minneapolis and thinking, I'm going to come back. And so I made it my mission to come back. So when I got back to Colorado, I decided to be real ballsy and just email the program director.
Okay.
I emailed Rich and lied and said, hey, I'm going to be in the Twin Cities on such and such date. Would love to take you out to lunch. To my surprise, he responded. And he's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I gotta buy a plane ticket. I gotta get a rental car. I gotta like book this whole trip. I have to request vacation time. Like, oh my God. Yeah. So that was like my next trip. And, you know, I really tried to.
Good for you to do that, by the way. Like people stand out like that.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's amazing how far you can get when you take that initiative. Because it did end up paying off. Years later, went and met with Rich, brought my resume, brought my air check, all that stuff. And, you know, Rich knew what was up. Like, he's had talent do the same thing. Like, he gets it, which I think is so cool that he took the time to meet with me and give me that opportunity to introduce myself and let him get to know who I am. And got back and, you know, ended up actually working for Town Square Media in the same market. So I was poached by the competition. Honestly, that was a struggle because at iHeart, one of their values in the building was loyalty. I was so brainwashed by that, and it held me back for so long. And I think loyalty is good. However, it can really hinder your career.
And it goes both ways between employer and employee.
I found myself in a situation where it wasn't going both ways. So I knew it was time. The operations manager like reached out to me on Facebook and was like, hey, like I have an opportunity over here. Like, let's meet for lunch. And I'm like, what is happening? This is crazy. Long story short, ended up getting an opportunity to host middays on K99. And then also they were launching or flipping a station and launching a new alternative station at the time, 94.3DX. And so they wanted me to host mornings on that. My time with Town Square was great, but I found myself in kind of like a dead end position. You know, when you first get started in radio, it's hard. It is, I mean, it's never easy, but it's tough. I mean, you
wear out that young, energetic, thirsty person.
If you find yourself in a position where you can't grow and you have the work ethic and you have the dreams and the drive, it can be really mentally and emotionally draining. That's kind of the situation that I found myself in. So I made the really difficult decision to actually leave radio and pursue other opportunities. I mean, I was only out for maybe like 9 or 10 months, but I left thinking this might be it. And so ended up going to Community College of Denver and enrolling in the paralegal certificate program. I was like, I'll just do entertainment law or something. You know, I thought, well, what else am I interested in? And I've always been interested in like the legal side of the music business. I think that could be a career I'd be good at, but I mean, it's not radio. So I had been out of radio for a while, and I was working at Home Depot. That was crazy. I had gotten into stand-up comedy. So I was like still on stage and able to express myself, but just in like a different way. It also really like helped me get through and cope with not having radio anymore, because I was still on a mic. And I mean, I guess in a way it's therapy, but I was drinking before going on stage. So it wasn't really that productive. So that got exhausting. And then in September, I actually got an interview with Entercom in Minneapolis for like a producer position on News Talk WCCO. One of the hosts at the time was looking for a producer, and I had worked with him at iHeart in Fort Collins, and we're really good friends. So he was like, I want you as my producer. And unfortunately, he couldn't decide. It was the program director that had to interview everyone. But I got the interview, and I thought, how cool is it that I got an interview in Minneapolis? And it wasn't where I originally wanted an interview, but if I can get an interview there, maybe I actually could get a job there. Well, I didn't get the interview at Entercom, or the job at Entercom. They hired someone that already lived there. So then I started thinking. I was like, maybe there's still a chance. Let me text my buddy Rich Davis and just see if there's anything there. So yet again, I lied and I said, I'm moving to Minneapolis at the end of the year. Do you have anything available? Yeah. And to my surprise, he was looking for someone for the night show on Cities 97. Such perfect timing. Such perfect timing. And I thought, okay, well, shit. Now I'm moving to Minneapolis. I ditched the whole paralegal thing. I got halfway through that program. I finished out the semester, and literally the next day after classes were done, I packed necessities, enough for a bedroom to take with me to Minneapolis. Nothing else, just my clothes and my car and a couple other things. And I made it happen. And I didn't even have the job at iHeart yet. My gut was telling me just move and everything's going to work itself out. Even if it's not this opportunity, maybe it's something else. And I knew the opportunity was only going to be part-time. So I thought, okay, like I've got to figure out what to do and just make it work. I had been working at Home Depot while I was going to school. So I thought, great, I'll just transfer there. At least I had something to get me there.
Yep.
And then I started like leasing apartments for a property management company once I got there, and, kind of started this whole like separate career while I was pursuing radio. But it helped pay the bills.
And you're learning a lot of skills that are so different than radio.
Oh, yeah. And I was applying all the legal stuff that I had just learned in school. So, it was kind of a win-win. And, met a lot of friends, and it helped me feel more connected to the Twin Cities and really learn like how to navigate the city, which actually ended up being a really positive thing for me. And it allowed me to buy my first condo. And like, I had never been a homeowner before. I was 25 when I bought my place.
Oh, that's awesome.
But there was still this radio thing, and I'm like, okay, like I got to interview this, like for this. I don't have it yet. So I get to the interview, I'm having lunch with Rich Davis, and he's like, so there's one other person that I'm talking to. She just got back to town. And I'm like, shit, I literally just like left my whole life for this. It ended up working out. And once I got the job, Rich was like, once I knew that you were coming here, I stopped looking.
Wow.
And yeah, so which was awesome to hear. And yeah, so did that for a year while I was, I had like my day job, and then, having all these crazy experiences with that. And then, that was like full-time, 40 hours a week. After that, I would literally just go to the station and do my show. Like, I was so lucky with my day job. My boss was like, if you need to go to meetings at the station or you have anything going on, like, I'll work with you.
Wow, that's really nice.
Yeah, so that allowed me to be able to start going to like weekly station meetings, promo meetings.
Get your face out there.
Yeah, host like soundstage interviews with artists, and kind of just get in there.
Did you ever like hook up your full-time job? Like, did you ever give them like tickets or anything?
Of course, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They all knew. They were like, oh my God, Mollie's famous. Mollie's famous. Then someone got let go from the morning show, and then shortly after that, the other person on that show left on their own. First of all, what are they going to do? Am I ready for this? Am I worthy? Like, I don't know. Should I ask? And I didn't even have to ask for the opportunity. Rich pulled me in his office. He was like, I want you to audition. And get this, same girl that was interviewing for nights, now interviewing for the morning show as well.
Oh, no.
Auditioning. So I was like, shit, like second battle of this.
Right.
And I thought, she's totally going to get it because he blew her off for this other opportunity that I got. Like, there's no way. So I felt a little discouraged, and I was super nervous, and I got the job. So I ended up hosting mornings on Cities 97. I had gone from market 115 to number 15 in AM Drive on my own. No one helped me. It was literally, well, I don't want to say no one helped me. Like, I've had great mentors and support along the way, but no one just handed this to me,
Yeah, it took you reaching out and networking and being willing to take those chances on yourself.
It's something I'm so proud of, and took a lot of work. And mornings had their challenges. Of course, any day part is going to have their challenge, but it was so rewarding and so exciting to be part of, building a new show and turning ratings around, and being on a really great trajectory. And then I got laid off.
Was it like a COVID cut or a budget cut, or?
It was a budget cut.
Oh, yeah.
So it was the mass layoff right before COVID in January 2020. It was I was not expecting it. And, I really struggled a lot with it for a long time. As horrible as COVID was, I think selfishly for me, it was a relief finally having people empathize with getting let go. Because I mean, I had lost my livelihood. And at that point I was like, I spent so much time and energy getting to Minneapolis, and I got here and I'm so proud of it. But I also don't want to stay here because I'm so fucking sad.
Oh,
It was just, I miss Minneapolis dearly. Like, that's my home away from home, and I think it always will be. But I was like, I don't want to stay here.
losing some of these radio jobs is like a bad breakup.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it sucks for anyone to lose their job, but I was like, why me? The whole time it's like that your ex gets the house, like they get to, and then you don't. It's like
so hard. Like, I built this so hard, and in an instant it's gone.
Yeah. And you have to just rethink everything. And I mean, this was right before COVID happened. So at that point, I wasn't even thinking like, oh, this is really, really it. I remember thinking, if radio chooses me, I'll stay in radio and I'll pursue that. But if it doesn't choose me, that's fine, and I accept it, and I'll find something else in the industry to do. I started like looking at like, what's it going to cost to move to LA, and because I had the ability to financially do that. I'd have to sell my condo, and I ended up doing that. But I was like, okay, well, I'll just move to LA and try to build my life there. But a few days after I got laid off, I got an email with a job opportunity that ended up becoming my position that I have now. But Sacramento had never been on my radar really as like a place to go. I got an email from Rain, who was the program director for 106.5 The End. Sorry you got let go, but we're looking for someone to host Afternoon Drive. Can you send me your air check, and then we can talk. When I got let go, like, I got zero help with getting any audio. That's the other thing too. Like, if you're not prepared, like, it's you got to have really, really good friends that'll grab some audio for you.
That's so true.
I'm still hesitant because I'm like, I don't know if I want to move. I don't know if I want to get back into radio. Everyone that had listened to my air check really liked what they heard. And it became a game of like, hey, can you please apply for this job? Can you, so that we can talk, can you please do this?
That's a good feeling to have,
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll apply just to have the conversation. But it really, it took a lot for me to do that. Cause again, I was traumatized, and I don't know if I want to do this again. And, applied for the position, went through the whole process, and then found myself really thinking, man, like, I actually could see myself moving to Sacramento. It reminds me of Fort Collins a little bit, but a bigger version of it. And then I got really excited. I'm like, dang, like, if I don't get this job, like, fuck everything.
Yeah.
So luckily I got the job. So, that was like a crazy situation. Moving 1,500 miles took 3 days. I packed up my car. I sold all my belongings pretty much in my condo, sold my condo, packed up everything, and moved to a city where I know no one. So I had accepted the offer before COVID was like full speed ahead.
Okay.
And then as I was moving, this was in March of 2020. So
holy shit.
Kind of a weird time. Everyone's like, oh, what's going on with California? And Mollie, are you even going to have a job when you get there? It all worked out. And, got here, and, I was fortunate to be able to work from the station instead of from home when I got to this new city. So I was able to leave my house and be around people, and, at least get to know my boss and get to know my coworkers a little bit. I did that for, a little over a year. And then in July 2021, things changed for Top 40. And, it was bittersweet. I did end up there was a move made that benefited me, and, which again, it's bittersweet. I was, it's survivor's guilt. But also I was really excited because it's just, working for Odyssey has just been an amazing experience. And for the first time in my career, I really feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. And it's just been such an awesome company to work for. And earlier I had mentioned drinking the iHeart Kool-Aid. It's not really like I'm drinking the Odyssey Kool-Aid, but it really is such an amazing situation for me where, I work with people that believe in me, and I've gotten some really awesome opportunities. So now, since when the Top 40 change happened, they basically made me the local programmer for KUDL. And I work with Sue O'Neill in Buffalo and Mike Danger in Rochester. And we program the station. And, I've taken on more responsibilities since we first started that. It's been a learning curve, but I've, picked up music scheduling and doing a lot of really cool things for the station. And it's just been I've just been having the time of my life and creating some really cool things. And it's been awesome, and gone on some business trips to Disneyland and Turks and Caicos along the way, and just kind of living the life.
Well, I think the key word you said there earlier was that your situation right now is good.
Probably part of why my situation is so good is because I lived all of this at iHeart. The consolidation, I've been through the name change. It's, everyone else is doing what iHeart did 5 years ago, so I kind of know what to expect, and I'm just all right, buckle up, let's do this.
Since you've kind of been through a few changes and all that now, what do you like the more leadership strategic side of it? Do you still being a talent also?
Of course, first and foremost, I love being a talent, and, ideally, would be able to focus all my time on that and be the chosen one and, have that opportunity. Going back to your question about, Onair versus, the programming management stuff, I enjoy that too. So,
that's the strategy behind building the station and all that.
Yeah. And, so that's kind of more where, my focus is definitely on my afternoon show, but, a lot of my focus is on learning how music works. Because of course there's a science, there's an art to it, and just kind of seeing behind the scenes how that's all put together, and putting together other things, which certainly can be applied to morning shows as well. But, I love that too. I think, there's different challenges that come with both. And right now I'm just kind of at that point of I don't know, I am where I am, and whatever challenges come my way, I'm just going to try to learn as best I can. I'm so lucky to have such a good support system too, that to lean on. If you have a team of true leaders who really care about your well-being, you are the luckiest person in the world. And that's honestly how I feel.
That's what I'm learning in having these conversations, definitely, is that some people get lucky with having the right mentors and stuff around them, and that can make such a huge difference.
If you don't have a mentor, if you're not one of the lucky ones, be a mentor for someone else. Don't be a dick. Be that support system for someone that you recognize is having a really difficult time in the workplace, because you're going to make a huge difference to that person. If they vent to you, don't take that information and use it to your advantage. Just let them be them and be there for them.
Because I like it. You seem flexible and okay, if this is what I'm feeling doing next, then I'll go next. Right now, does the Sacramento feel like forever, or does it now I still feel or would you want to get back to Minneapolis one day?
I'm pretty open to wherever this industry is going to take me. And, you know, I will say, like, the situation I'm in right now is awesome. And I'm just going to enjoy it for as long as I can and just kind of see where it's at. And, you know, another thing I forgot to mention, part of my duties, I'm also Odyssey's social media captain for Top 40 and Hot AC. So, you know, like, I'm also, you know, kind of getting to network with other stations and other markets, and, you know, kind of like, you know, it's so eye-opening. And, you know, I think that will probably lead me to some other opportunities down the line. I don't know when, I don't know what, but also where I'm at in conversations I've had with my support system and mentors is, you know, they've really been encouraging me to fully embrace where I'm at, which has been tough with COVID. I moved here to Sacramento in 2020, March of 2020. I've been here 2 years. I will have lived here longer than I lived in Minneapolis, which is crazy to me because it doesn't feel like that. But, you know, I started thinking, you know, around the new year, like, I've been here 2 years and I still don't even feel like it's home.
Okay.
And that's a problem. And, you know, so I've been encouraged to really fully embrace it. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's just like embracing where I am and not jumping ahead. And I'm just going to trust the universe and trust, you know, life.
Well, it sounds like you always somewhat have like some feelers out there anyway.
Yeah.
That's why, like, I get happy too when I like hear these stories, you know, like when I actually talk to the person and it's like, wow, that's so cool. Like, I love like what they're up to. And I'm like, by the end of the conversation, I'm like, you know what? That person's going to be okay. Like, you're going to be all right in radio.